Dr. Amanda with Straightsmile Solutions, straightsmilesolutions.com, and I have a bunch of other videos about why I don't recommend doing attachment-less clear aligners, but I don't really have a video on how to do it if you have to do it, and what promises you can make and what promises you cannot make. And remember, I'm going to give you some tricks and tips, but you cannot hold me to the wall on this because every state is going to be different, every dental board is going to be different, and as this whole direct-to-consumer clear aligner thing went away, and I'm not saying this is direct to consumer, but they were using, for the most part, attachmentless clear aligners. Things are a little raw right now, so you have to be careful. And every dental board and every insurance company is going to be different, so I kind of recommend you don't do it with insurance patients just because you could have weird outcomes. They could be unpredictable. And you might even want to run this by your liability insurance company just to see if they have any suggestions on risk management for mitigating issues, because stuff's going to come up. And if you made a promise that it's going to be possible and you get them a worse objective, you might be up a creek without a paddle. So just be careful. I'm not trying to freak you out, but really weird things can happen. So have I done it before? Yes, but I'm going to tell you how I did it, and I'm not saying you should do it this way, but just to give you some ideas. First of all, I don't use Invisalign. Sorry, no Invisalign. I love Invisalign, but not for this. Why? Because the material is too soft and comfortable. It just doesn't predictably grab. It really functions with attachments. It does not do well without attachments. I use ClearCorrect. That's my favorite. Why? Because the material is everything that I don't like about it for a perio patient is great for an attachmentless liner case, in terms of, the high trim line, the retention, the stiffness of the material. It does work better for this. So I use ClearCorrect. That's my number one go-to. And I have a few doctors I work with that use Invisalign for everything, but only use ClearCorrect for their attachmentless aligner cases, and they work pretty well. So cool thing about ClearCorrect is that you can submit without taking a class, without taking a course. You can sign up in 5 seconds. And it's a pretty easy dashboard. Like, you could definitely figure it out. Is it as pretty as Invisalign's? No. So if you're an Invisalign doctor, this is going to be a bit of a backpedal. But it works. Okay, so first of all, like I said, I use ClearCorrect. Second of all, I never ever use like a flex or a 3 or a 2 or a 1 or whatever we're calling these. That's in ClearCorrect. Or Invisalign, the equivalent of your Express, your Light, your Go, your Moderate. Nope, everyone's a full case. Even if it looks easy, it's a full case. Why? Because it never quite happens predictably, and weird things happen, and I need the ability to do multiple refinements as needed. So everyone gets a full case. If they don't like it and it's an easy case, well, then they could have done Invisalign maybe with an Express or a Light or something and save money. No one's getting a discount on these. I'm also making that clear. This is a full price treatment because it's going to take me full price amount of time to get it right. Also, anyone who does this, I make sure I work it up to ideal with attachments first so they can see it. This would be 50 aligners, it would be this. And then as I move it over to ClearCorrect and I start removing attachments, I look at the TMT within Invisalign, the tooth movement table, and they have that in ClearCorrect too. And, I say, well, these things may not predict, looking at what the movements are, these things may not predictably track. Obviously, case selection is huge. I'm not picking a hard case with this. This would be a case that would be an Express or a Light case. That's what I'm trying, or flex case. But I'm doing it as a comprehensive or unlimited case, and I'm going to triple to quadruple the number of aligners, and that was going to be my other. I normally say double it. Oh no, we're going to quadruple it because we don't have attachments. So we are going to go hell of slow. We're going to just dial the speed way back. It's going to be almost like the speed of nighttime aligners with some of these companies where they just dial it way back. It's going to be like that. So we're going to dial back the speed. We're going to quadruple it. Okay. So that was my next tip. So first tip was, number one, I only do this in ClearCorrect. Number two was I only do this as a comprehensive or unlimited case. No Light cases, no Express cases, no Moderate cases, no 3s, no 2s, no 1s, no flex, no nothing like that. I know I'm throwing in a bunch of different terms from different companies, but you get the idea. No Go, okay? Number three, okay, I quadruple it. Quadruple the amount of aligners, maybe 3.5 to 4 times. So if ClearCorrect says I can do this in 10 aligners, well, it's now 40. And I take the attachments off. And I make sure I highlight in the tooth movement table which teeth may not move predictably and what may happen. Like I say, tooth number 10 may not fully derotate without an attachment. Point number 4, case selection. I don't do this on every case. I'm going to pick really easy cases where I think there's a shot. And also I'm going to use my brain and think, well, if this didn't fully move, if we only got improvement, would I put my patient in a worse off situation? E.g., I'm not going to take a case that has a crossbite on number 10 and then we only get 50% movement on the crossbite and now number 10 is in a traumatic occlusion. No. Okay, so I'm going to pick a case where if we only got improvement, it wouldn't leave them worse off, or it wouldn't leave them with like traumatic occlusion, or it wouldn't leave them with an interference and a worse off bite. And I think that's part of how a lot of these direct-to-consumer companies got themselves in trouble too, is that they didn't always anticipate that, like it's okay to have improvement and not perfect, and it's okay to do front teeth only and not back teeth, but only if you can get them better off or the same as how they were. You can't make them worse off or put them in a traumatic bite. That is just my personal opinion, and most orthodontists will have that opinion. So I don't have a problem with any of that. So case selection, and that's just going to take a lot of experience as an orthodontist to know which cases you can safely do this with and which ones you can't. And then point number 5, I'm going to write up my own crazy informed consent. And you guys have been asking me for these informed consents. Guess what? I don't have them because I write them up custom. So I'm going to go point to point what teeth may not move, and I look at the tooth movement table and what might happen. And then I make sure in the informed consent that I custom write that I say this patient was shown perfect, with attachments. Patient declined it. Patient was also given an option to convert to perfect with attachments for the first 4 to 6 months or something like that. I will give them, for a period of time, an opportunity to change their mind, and this is point number 6, to go and have it done properly for no additional cost. Why? Because I'm not giving them a discount anyways. So if they want to go, I'm not saying I normally do Invisalign. If I'm doing this in ClearCorrect, if they want to do it with attachments, they don't get to go back to Invisalign. They have to stick within ClearCorrect because I paid for the unlimited anyways. I get 5 years to finish it. I don't care. So what, it takes a few more months and we start over again. Great. I'm glad you made the wise choice because that's what I would have done anyways. But this is not an unlimited thing. We don't go for 2 years trying to get this. I mean, I give them a window of time when they can convert for no additional fee. And you want to just kind of think about that and then bake it into your informed consent. Now, with all these, and then point number 7, they have to use Chewies. They have to use Chewies. And they have to be on remote monitoring. That's another thing. So they have to use Chewies. They have to agree to use Chewies. And they have to be on remote monitoring. That's point number 8. I don't care if you pay for an additional service. This is just going to be how it is. Or if obviously you can't use Invisalign virtual because you're using ClearCorrect, so you're just going to have to use one of these other plans that are out there if you're going to do this. Because remember, the whole clear aligner delivery instructions, you do not move on to the next aligner until that one has tracked. So if they have a tooth that's not tracking, well, guess what? They get to stay in that aligner with their Chewy until that tooth tracks. And they might be in it for weeks. Just chew. It will eventually track, even with extrusions, even with rotations, if you do that. And then once it's fully seated in the aligner, it's a full week once it's seated. So the 7-day wear may not be a thing here. We're going to be using remote virtual monitoring for an accountability loop, and we're going to be telling them exactly, when they can switch aligners. So that is another point. So those are my main highlights. And then remember, just because you think you covered yourself and you have all the right informed consents and everything like that, there's always a chance the patient's going to complain to a dental board or insurance company. There's always a chance you might have to give a refund. So just be prepared. It does happen. I've seen it happen. So is it going to happen with most patients? No, especially if you have all these informed consents and you've done everything the right way and you've given the option to have perfect, and you let them have a few free refinements and they didn't get there, you should be okay, but don't be upset if you have to give a refund. It does happen. So, all right. Thanks so much.